All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Vivian S. de Guzman, and we have a special guest tonight on our doTERRA calls. I've actually met Bob through one of our business or leadership retreats with Sandra, and he is the Wu Shu master. A Wu Shu master, you'll find out a little bit more about what that means, but he is actually self-taught. So for those of you that really like doing things on their own, this is a good way of finding out how he's been successful in his life in rehabilitating his body, his mind, his soul. And tonight, he gave us permission to actually be with him, to be around his presence, to be able to share his gifts and talents with us, applying Wu Shu in stress relief, because we know that as business owners, we do get stressed a little bit, sometimes, a lot of times. So this is a way for us to actually feel relaxed and rejuvenated, and he's going to share his talents with us. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Bob Lindsay on our call. Good evening, Bob.
Hey, how you doing, Vivian? Thanks.
Great. Thank you for teaching us tonight. So we want to know a little bit, because you said you were self-taught, right?
Correct.
What is this Wu Shu? Tell us what it's about. Let's define that first.
Okay. Well, the original idea of Wu Shu loosely translates into the way. Mm-hmm. And the idea of that is combining all the various elements of the Eastern practices together so you have an integrated whole. Mm-hmm. So at some points in time, I might need more movement to align myself. That would be Tai Chi as the movement aspect. Okay. There may be times where I need to get more quiet and kind of search within myself. That would be, if you will, the Qigong aspect. So it's really just the idea that there's no one right set of tools for every circumstance you're in, but that there's this whole range of tools you can use throughout your life depending upon what challenges you face.
Oh, nice. I like that. So yep. Tell us a little bit about how did you get introduced to this Wu Shu? Like, did you have any injuries? Like, what happened to you?
Well, it was actually, it's kind of a really entertaining story. When I was younger, 15, my older brother, who was very involved in the martial arts, I expressed an interest, so he started taking me with him to the dojo he went. Some dojo up in Whittier. I don't even remember where, being a young kid. The master of that dojo was actually an 89-year-old Shaolin monk. I believe he was one of the original Chinese monks that had fled from the troop when it came over and then sought asylum in the USA. Mm-hmm. So this guy was just incredible. He could blow candles out through boxes. He could literally climb walls. I mean, it was just like, whoa, how do you do that? Mm-hmm. And he said, energy. So he said I had an affinity for energy, so he took me and put me more in the Tai Chi class. Okay. Well, I'm 15, 15 and a half. I wanted to be Bruce Lee, So I'm going, yeah, that's all great. Teach me how to punch, right? Right. Well, then at 28, I continued there for about 2 years and, went off into other things, my life, et cetera, military, so on and so forth. At 28, I get involved in an auto accident on the I-5 freeway, 0 to 75, stop and go. Truck in front of me stopped, I stopped. Truck behind me hit me at about 65. Wow. Bounced my car back and forth like about 5 times. By the time that was all done, it had actually ripped the seat out of the left side of the frame. So I ended up with about 30 cases of whiplash to the neck and shoulders. Couldn't pick my hands up above my shoulders. And I actually had 2 shattered vertebrae, L3 and L4. They were almost powdered. Well, Western medical science at the time especially said, well, you can fuse these vertebrae. And that's about it. And we got pills for your pain. You'll never pick your hands over your shoulders. You'll never run. You'll never train again. You'll be lucky to walk. So I kind of went back to the roots that, my original master had been trying to teach me, and going, what was he saying about this? So it was very interesting then, because I was on such a quest and Bruce Lee used the same technique, by the way, in his last injury or his last competition match where they put him up against their best guy. The guy used an illegal move, kicked him in the back. Bruce Lee had to use the same Tai Chi Chong to align the spine. And he stood up, and that's where that famous "you'll come to me" gesture comes from. Of course, he knocked the guy out with one punch, almost killed him. So he said, who's better? But then he went on to use these same principles to completely rehab himself. And that's when he started writing his books on the subject. So I kind of ended up going on the same quest because Tai Chi Chuan isn't really taught anymore. It's not popular. It's, just all sorts of other things. But I would run into a master here, or I would be on a hunt for Tai Chi books, and a book would jump off at me at the shelf, off the shelf at me, and I go, yeah. Well, how about this move? Oh, well, that's the one I was looking for, So it was really interesting. And then as I've worked with other energy masters, they all say, you seem to have this connection to these ancient, wise people from way back, and they're just like, it's like they're feeding you data almost. So I really seem to have made this connection and fallen into it very effectively.
Hey, Bob, we can't see your face very well. Is there?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or something?
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I must have turned the light by accident. And it's been very interesting because I still didn't almost realize what I had. I mean, I rehabbed myself in about 3-4 years completely. Mm-hmm. I'm 59 now, and I do these balance and Indio board moves that, people are going, you can't do that, even when you're 20, you can't do that. And then as I've taught it to my clients, they've completely cured or put into remission, multiple sclerosis. I had one client that had a 2-year or 5-year losing battle with spinal stenosis, 2 sessions. And she said, my God, this is it. They're great. I'm open. I don't need any more. Thanks. So my clients have really shown me just how powerful this stuff is by pretty much healing everything under the sun.
Exactly.
So that's kind of the story behind it.
Wow, that gives a lot of people hope.
Yeah, absolutely, especially if you have any pain. This is very natural moves. They developed it over the course of approximately 2,000 years, so they really had it dialed in. And it's just amazing stuff. I mean, people come in, they go, I'm kind of tight and tired. We do an hour class. They go, how are you feeling? I go, my God, I'm open, I'm loose, I'm feeling great. What is this stuff, So it's really just amazing. It's built into us. It's part of the natural ability within us. And that's why, of course, it can work so well.
So how does this relate to plants? Because you know how essential oils and plants, they're related. How does Wu Shu relate to plants?
Well, interestingly enough, everything is, of course, a natural way. And our philosophy of the Qigong, the breathing, and the stress relief, since you bring it up, is tied very much to like our relationship with plants. A plant, as an example, breathes dioxide. So when we exhale, the plant says, hey, that's my air. Let me breathe it in. And then what it breathes out is oxygen for us. So at a base level, we connect at that point. When we exhale, the plant says, thank you, and here's some air for you. When we look at the universe, we have kind of the same connection. So the idea of Wu Shu, Qigong in general, is the stress in my life, the disease leads to disease. Literally, I'm tense like this, something locks, I get stressed, I don't move right, I'm operating from an emotional level. So it all kind of breaks down. So our whole thought pattern is the universe and ourselves are very much like a plant in ourselves. That is, the universe is saying, dump the junk in your trunk, the stress, which doesn't help you. And we always picture putting it down into the molten earth of the sun, so it just recycles. We never destroy anything. But the universe uses that as building blocks for another planet and so on. The byproduct of the universal creation process is what we call chi energy or source energy, or you may have heard it called prana. Every culture has a different name for it, but the end result is the junk that we dump, that the universe uses to build things with, gives us the source energy that is then a healing component for us. So our whole basic process is awareness of what you're thinking, feeling, where you're at in your mind. If you are in a stressful or bad situation, be conscious of just trying to breathe and relax through it and go, it just is. Well, and the more I do that, the better I can deal with it instead of being all emotionally tied up. So, we let our junk go, cycle it down into the molten earth to be reused. Planet, the universe gives us this energy to be used for healing, warming, calming. It doesn't matter, any kind of resolution that you need in life.
Awesome. So in other words, we all need to breathe.
Absolutely. Awareness of if you're breathing like this, or are you let it go and let's just move on, you know, let's just deal with it now.
Right, right. So share with us the different elements. You mentioned there are 3 elements that we need to learn about Tai Chi, Qigong, and this Wu Shu or the Way. What
Okay.
are the 3 elements that you find beneficial for all of people that you've treated, whether they're kind of healthy or have a disease or kind of going towards health?
Gotcha. And it is interesting because it really all kind of blends together. Because while we're in this life, part of the process that we tend to do is we pick up some toxins in life. So anytime you apply these principles, you're actually detoxing the body, by the way. Some people dump literally cancers and tumors just through the normal bodily processes. And they're just coming out, you know, I feel off for a day or two as compared, you know, it's like compared to having a life-threatening illness now in the hospital. So anyway, we really have 3 major components that you always apply. And the first one is awareness. Awareness of what you're thinking, awareness of your mindset. You know, very similar to the old basic Henry Ford motto of, if you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right. You tend to create that reality.
Right.
So the first thing is awareness overall. To your breathing. Because if you're panting, I'm in fight or flight mode. And somebody just cut me off. You know, but the quicker I can let that go, well, he missed me. He'll catch the cop for me, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so just the awareness of what you're breathing, thinking, creating. And then what really ties to that too, I love how Western medical science now can prove so much of this stuff. If you can actually gently force yourself to a slower breathing pattern, they recommend 7, 7, 11. So 7-second inhale, hold the breath for 7 seconds, and then 11-second exhale. You actually push the body into the theta mode, which is the most relaxed mode you can get without actually being asleep. And this is what athletes do all the time. I got to run this event. Oh my God, these guys are all fast. Me, hold on. I've trained well. I really like this. You know, I'm doing what I want. And they run like a rabbit, you know, because they're just relaxed into it. So the awareness of where you're at and the breathing pattern can really help calm you down and recenter you, you know, and let some of this stuff go. The human body. Okay. Go ahead.
Is there a technique that you can share with us, like how we can actually bring ourselves to slow down our breathing?
The best one, there are any number of techniques, but it really all still comes back to your awareness of where you are. Mm-hmm. And then the second point is the mindset. So even if I'm, like when I was in combat, if you will, you know, oh my gosh, they're shooting at me. Well, that's what I'm trained for, you know, I can shoot back kind of thing, as compared to hiding in the hole and, you know, just waiting for the end to come. Right. So the awareness of where you're at and just the knowledge that we always have an option. We are our own creator. Wu Shu or martial arts is really, to me, the ultimate secret, because you can't break a brick with your knuckles. But I can focus this source energy and use it to break a brick. I can focus this source energy and I can use it for massage to gently, literally tease a knot out of somebody's body. And they're going, what are you doing back there? I'm going, why? Well, it feels like you got a battery, an electrical charge. Does it hurt? No. Feel good? Yeah. Shut up and enjoy it, you know? And then afterwards they're coming off, they're going, everyone else has to use Rolfing and I'm bruised. And you literally, it's like you didn't do anything, but it's gone. Well, the connection and the idea that I can do this and that this is available for my use comes into a huge pattern. Yeah. So if I can believe there's an option, that gives me, okay, hold on, let me take a step here, shift out of the kids mode, you know, to the, well, what can we do to fix this here? And then that awareness lets you then just start to breathe and just, you know, if you do a little bit of repetition, you can slow down generally in 2, 3, 4 breaths. So the awareness of where you're at, the mindset that there is a fix, that you've got these options, and then just physically starting to breathe. As you do it, you push, I mean, just breathing, just going, you feel how that makes you relax. And that puts you into more, instead of the fight and flight mode, you're into the happy, healing, relaxed mode. So a lot of it has to be the mindset. And after that, there's any number of tools. And that's the neat thing about all of this, is I may have a tool that a master taught me, but you might find a slightly different thing that works for you. So it's variable for everybody, and you can make your own unique keys out of it. So that's, that's kind of really the good thing. And along with those, and just being aware that I'm either in the mindset of panicking, I want to run around in a circle, versus, hold on, let me apply a little bit of deliberate control here, very much like an adult. So often when you get into an emergency mode, we suggest take that 1 second and say, am I kind of panicking? Am I like being just a kid running around in a circle? Or can I take that second and step back and out into more of an adult pattern? I used to be a single dad, so I always used to vision, I want to go in there and beat this guy up or something, or whatever. I want to yell at this person. Well, wait a minute, my kids are here. What do I want to show them? What do I want to teach them? What, kind of what do I want to demonstrate? So just that slowing down and going, okay, I could yell at him, but how about if instead I offer an apology? The guy might go, oh, I'm so sorry. I was just in a hurry. Oh, well, no problem. Don't worry about it, So the intention, the mindset, slowing down for a second and giving yourself that moment to respond instead of react is a huge component. Just catching yourself for that moment, the awareness to do that.
Wow. Thank you.
Of course.
Can you share with us some movement so that the participants can actually feel what you're saying? So let's ask people right now, you can unmute yourselves if you have a specific question. And we're going to get, after these movements, we're going to get into some of the oils that would actually help you with some of these conditions. Is there a specific emotion or state that it seems like you get stressed about that? It comes into your life. You don't know why, but it just does. Is there anyone who has a question regarding this? Because we want to apply this in your everyday life, right? So think about if you actually have someone asking you about the oils and you don't know what to say, or perhaps you haven't quite studied everything yet. Is there an emotion that comes up for you? Unmute yourself if you have a question on that.
And you're referring to our guests, of course, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
I can unmute people. Let's see. Let me just unmute them all. Let's see what happens. Okay, go ahead. Ask the question for Bob.
Hi, Bob. Could you repeat the theta type of breathing? I mean, I was trying to catch how one would find themselves in that position and practice that type of breathing.
Sure. You can do it pretty much anywhere. It's always easier to start some of the stuff when you're kind of in a quiet moment. But the breathing pattern we often have is something much more shallow, like we're doing maybe a 3-second inhale. You're probably not barely holding it at all, and then maybe, a 4-second exhale. So right. The pattern you actually want to shoot for, if you can, is a 7-second inhale. You want to hold it for 7 seconds. And then ideally you want to exhale for 11 seconds. Now that alone is kind of a challenge, but if you can just start breathing and be aware of what you're doing, let's say you're at 3, 2, and 4, try to take a little deeper breath. You might get 4 or 5. Try to hold it for approximately the same time. That lets the air pass through the body and makes the body slow down. And then exhaling gently through the mouth for, almost twice that or as long as you can. Here again. Oh, and use lion's breath breathing, which is in through the nose. And then when you exhale, very gently through the mouth with the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth. Those have physical connections that actually make the body calm down and slow down. So in many cases, you may start the breath and you'll have a 4-4-8 or something like that. But after a couple of breaths, you can get down to, say, like 5-5 and 9. And then you can get to 6-6 and 10. But if you can get to about 7-7 and 11, that will actually drop the body into a theta mode, which is almost kind of like a wide awake hypnosis mode. And that's how you can program yourself to do some of these very incredible things, because you're calm, you're relaxed, you're connected, you're in tune, you're in sync, and you're just kind of going, why not? You know?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Not at all. You're welcome. Good question.
And the theta mode, you've heard of theta healing as well. Your soul healing happens in that mode.
Correct.
So if you have positive affirmations that you would like to put in, if you're at 3-3-4, like he was saying, 3 inhale, 3 hold, and 4 exhale seconds. What happens is it doesn't quite come in. So you
Right.
may have heard an information from a teacher. You attended a class, but you notice when you walked out, you don't remember anything because you're not at the theta healing mode. Therefore, you didn't quite absorb everything, and you have to repeat that class multiple times to apply this in your life. So whatever you learn here, we have so many great speakers every single week. Just take one nugget that you can bring to the table every single week. Practice it for the whole week. And I'm sure your life will get better every single time.
Absolutely true.
Yeah. So, Bob, go ahead.
Oh. No, I was just going to say that I think we got our next special guest speaker for your next retreat, Vivian.
There you go.
I love to do this stuff too. It's really funny because the other neat thing that Western medicine teaches us is the human body replaces everything in a 3 to 4 year period. Skin's a couple of months, internal organs are a handful of months. A deep bone body part is generally 3 to 4 years max. So now it makes a lot more sense how this gentle consistency over time causes the body to align itself, relayer itself, and replace and repair itself. So over time, you actually can get better. And that's how you see these 120-year-old guys out there and they're still doing Tai Chi. And you're going, I couldn't do that when I was 20. What the heck, So it's a very gentle, just a kind of replacing and healing process. It's just really amazing stuff. It's hard to describe until you played with it. In fact, then that's the other key. All of the translation of of all of the arts that we do, the word practice actually translates into play with.
Yep.
So you change that whole mindset and you're having fun with it now. Yeah.
Okay, let's have fun, Bob. And why don't you demo something so we can follow you? Come on.
Okay. As I said, I think we figured out earlier I have a little bit of a speaker issue here, so I'm going to dump my headphones, but we always start by rooting. So just picture connecting into the earth and just dumping any of the junk in your trunk. That leaves a vacuum. And then picture pulling in that chi energy to replace it. So just a real basic breathing drill. And you do this seated, just root, get comfortable. Picture making that connection to the earth and dumping all your garbage. And then picture filling yourself up with that source energy. And you want to let it percolate, kind of like a tea bag. Let it all pass, and then just the neat thing is too, once you've tried this a couple of times physically, I could be in that traffic situation where somebody cuts me off and I want to go, ah, but I can mentally just go, wait a minute, he missed me. It's all good. I'm safe. Maybe he's really in a rush. So once you do the physical things, you can really click into it almost like a deck of cards. Once you feel physically rooted, you can then start to add an extra movement. So as an example, if you feel like, man, I want to shake something out, you can start just adding movements into it. And I do a lot of what's called freeform kata, is everybody has different tight spots. So, I might use a move for a while, and then I may do a different move just to open up a different body part. But it's all just moving, breathing, being easy with yourself. Our rule of thumb generally is to find a weak spot gently so I can then ruthlessly eliminate it. So that was a short kata.
That was awesome.
In fact, it's really interesting. The whole idea on Tai Chi Chuan is, even though you have katas and moves and things that I do as an ideal point, it's really geared towards the individual. So every class I tend to hold is a little bit unique because I'm asking who's got what issue, who's tight, who's got an injury, what are we working on? And that ends up tending to bring up a whole different aspect. So it's really just kind of cool. It really, I mean, just completely fits you, like the right set of clothing or shoes or something.
Awesome. Now, if you may share with us, Bob, are there any specific essential oils that you've used to heighten like your awareness or your proper mindset or your deliberate precision of control on all your actions and movements? Is there anything that would help the listeners connect with themselves a little bit more?
Absolutely. And that ties back to the point you were making earlier about nature having its vibrational frequencies, right? We didn't really touch that, but everything in nature has its frequency. And that's the same idea here. The movement can tie you to that, but the oils can get you there very quickly because they're already at that frequency. So absolutely. As an example, if you're talking awareness, lime is good for that, Roman candle meal, sandalwood, or you could use like the in tune blend. And it's interesting because you'll have several different oils that will work, but that's simply because we had different areas in the world. So they'll all often do very similar things with a subtle little difference. But that's why there's so many similarities out there, because I might be in a part of the world that has sandalwood, but not a lime at this point in the year, But the awareness, those are good for the awareness. Let's see, for the mindset.
Oh, where do they apply, Bob, the oils, like the lime, Roman chamomile, sandalwood, or in tune?
I tend to do a lot on the spine.
Okay.
The foot is a great spot because everything's mapped on the foot. Okay. Believe it or not, everything's mapped on the hand, so you can often use certain points on the hand as well.
Okay.
And in many cases, I find the scent can be very powerful. So I'll often either a little bit right under the nose, or I'll sometimes hit the third eye. It depends a little bit on what you're working on, but I find all of those points to be very effective. I might be in a business meeting with shoes on where I can't, get the shoes as an example. So, the other points might be a good option.
Okay.
But no, I say thank you. That's a very good point. Now, let's see, oils that I tend to use for the mindset, kind of relaxing and calming down. I always pronounce this one wrong. Cardamom?
Cardamom.
Thank you. I speak American, I'm afraid. Eucalyptus, lavender is great, or the balance blend. Those are all really good.
Bob, what was this for? Cardamom and eucalyptus and things?
Those are more for getting the proper mindset, kind of relaxing and taking this, the step back for a minute and calming, relaxing.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Then I, for just kind of the mindset, area which slows you down, I've used Melaleuca, wintergreen, the deep blue bend. Those are a little more towards specific therapy and healing, but they do bring that aspect into the mindset. So you're kind of like, okay, I've trained. Hey, now I'm going to grow and get better.
Bob, which one did you say to use at the third eye? I missed that.
Well, technically, I was saying that if, as an example, you don't have your foot as an access point, the third eye can be another access point. Or if you have something that's really kind of mentally in your head, if it's a mindset, I find sometimes the third eye is a good way to approach that. If I've got an old bad, like my mom, beautiful woman, her name was Joy, and that said it all. But she was a Depression-era child who grew up on a farm in rural Nebraska. The only time she ever saw people with money coming by were the bankers to foreclose on their friends. So unfortunately, one of the things she taught me, when I was young, was money is the root of all evil. Oh boy, wasn't that one of them? Isn't that incorrect, But that's one I had to fight with for a long time until I've gotten more comfortable with money. So as an example, that one can be a mindset. So in that case, if I feel it's old, bad programming, I find that third eye can be a good spot to attempt to open it up.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Of course. Good questions, by the way.
So in other words, like the Melaleuca, wintergreen, and deep blue, if we want which is true, because when you're trying to control a movement, there are certain muscles, right? Like
Correct.
I would have weakness on my right side, and I would put it on those areas, and that would enhance the control of that whole right side.
Exactly. It's bringing your awareness to the point that instead of overtraining the strong side, which continues to pull you out of balance and leads to an injury, I'm going to baby this other side and bring him up. So anytime I bring my focus onto a something that, of course, causes a progress in that, be it a business or, hey, I want to work the side that's injured or not 100%, I can bring it up to tune. So yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So why don't you share with them what's next, Bob?
Well, if you're interested, I, of course, teach this. I have workshops, I have classes, but Vivian had actually thought that a good idea might be to offer a workshop that's specifically more using the oils and these tools in your current life. So I've actually created a workshop that's a stress-related relief type workshop that dials into these tools. So, you know, if you're interested, we can, I can actually work with you, give you these tools, play with them a bit, and then fine tune you through the use of them.
All right, share with them your link. It's kind of long here, guys, but if you click the link on the screen, I should email this to everyone because it's pretty long.
Yeah, it is. I
Please,
apologize.
yeah.
I'm not sure how to shorten those down yet, but if you have any problems, let me or Vivian know.
Yeah, we have to put this on Bitly. And then what I'll do is share with the class on Elite Makers Global when we post this video online, how you can work with Bob and continue to work with Bob. He's actually going, we're doing some talks together so that he can actually present a class to us at my new clinic in Tustin so that everybody can have a share of what is Wu Shu, right? Because we need to have a little sample here, or maybe we can go by the beach, Bob, like one of these.
Sure.
So go ahead and share with them how many months have you noticed that they have to work with you? For example, if they've had an old injury or just the body is not cooperating with them, so to speak, right? Because like you said, energy is everything. And when they have energy flowing through their body, I mean, this is gentler than martial arts. This is gentler than a gym, you know, working out and sweating it out. And this is going to connect your soul, your heart, your mind, your body all together. So how many months? I always say months because it takes normally 6 to 8 weeks to heal an injury in traditional medicine. But like you said, when it comes to energy, it may take shorter. So,
you know, it's really funny. That's a good question. And the hard and fast rule, well, there really isn't one. The hard and fast rule is like you're saying, if it's a deep tissue or a ligament, tendon, bone issue, that often takes about 3 to 4 years to really completely rehab. How long a person needs to work with me is really tied to the individual. Some people grab this idea and take to it like a fish in water and poof, and off they go. There's others that this is foreign to and they have to kind of ease into it. It's really kind of a hard question because I like to educate people rather than them have to use me. Okay. So some clients I train out and off they go and they're good with it. Other people go, man, I just want to keep working because every time I work with you, I learn something new. And even in our mindset, we say, if you've gone through everything and you think you've learned it all, start again at the beginning, because if you have the humble mindset, you'll learn something new from everything you've already done. And even, I mean, I've been playing with it since I was 15. I'm 59 now. I still encountered little details that, well, that's a good little click. I didn't notice that before. If you just kind of stop and go back and revisit it, like a good book or a movie, every time you watch, it's like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten that point. That's a great point or a great scene. So it's one of those things you could get everything you needed potentially in, I guess, a couple of sessions and apply it quite efficiently. On the other hand, that's why I offer the classes. So people that want to kind of continue working on it, they've got a reasonable, cost venue where you can always work with it, and it can be in a group with other people and friends that can share. And that's a nice thing too, is, as you know, or probably most of us know, it really takes 3 minds together to make a group mind, 3 or more minds working on the same idea. So there's also part of the power in a Tai Chi class where you can have 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 people together. Even if you're down on a day, other people's synergy will tend to flush that out and pick you up and carry you along.
Right.
So it's one of those things that there's not necessarily a hard and fast rule. It's really whatever works for you. But, you know, a couple of weeks, couple of months should give you a pretty good clue to the base moves. And then from there, if you apply that deliberate awareness and the mindset and the slow motion with it, if you're trying to learn, you'll click into new things all the time.
Right.
So, you know, the more is better, but you can do a lot with a very little potentially.
Right. So how many weeks is this program that you're offering?
It's 5 weeks. I'm doing 2 nights a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's 10 sessions total.
Got it. Okay. And can you share with them the investment?
Yes. The normal class is $700. If you buy within the next 48 hours, I'm offering an early bird package, which is $567. I was trying to create, I have some new software I'm working on, one of my challenges, and I wasn't quite able to set up a payment package option yet, but if anybody's interested in that, let me know. You know, we can figure something out for you until I can get that correctly operational.
What would be the monthly thing, Bob?
I was thinking $199, 3 payments of $199. One to buy, and then one when you start, and then one 3 weeks after that, or a couple weeks down the line.
That's roughly, you said 10 sessions. Is that 10?
Correct. Yeah, 5 weeks for 2 days a week or 10 sessions.
Got it. Okay. Awesome.
And is this virtual, or is it in your studio?
Well, I plan to do it online initially. However, I'm in South Orange County, and if there's anybody in South Orange County, I'm happy to put a class together and, you know, be on site.
What city is that? South?
Well, I operate through pretty much the whole South Orange County. So San Clemente all the way up to, say, Irvine, and to, like Rancho Santa Margarita.
Okay.
Yeah, so if there's at least 6 of us minimum, that would help. You can really feel the difference in energy, because when I started with Tai Chi and Qigong, that was just my beginning. And then from there, it just expanded, and your awareness just grows, and you grow up with it. So not only is this part of self-care, but you will notice that your business opportunities and everything else in your life just grows. Relationships, everything.
Correct.
So,
the interesting, the one other point I wanted to make about Tai Chi Chuan is it's really a neat version, because instead of having just one thing, whatever, we actually have rehab moves. So, I said I had 30 cases of whiplash, 2 shattered vertebrae. I had to rehab shoulders, everything. But that then scales you into other moves. So then we have like a strength kata, quote unquote strength, which is flexibility, coordination, endurance, etc. And they actually have a boot camp, which is 4 moves. They call them the Horrible 4. Now, interestingly enough, it's really funny. I mean, I'll tell you what, I've run these, anyway, I've had a class in Laguna that I've been running for a while, and most people that have injuries come to me. And it's interestingly enough, even the boot camp moves, I mean, they'll put CrossFitters into, tears, actually work so well that they actually align you. I had a client that had a locked shoulders back for like 18 months, 2 years, 6 aspirin a night to get to sleep.
wow.
Worked with her for 3 months. We did the boot camp. One time she said I was sore as heck the next day. The day after that, I was pain-free.
Wow.
Said, slept without any aspirin. Doctors had no clue what to do with me. You healed me, or effectively opened me up in a couple of months. I'm going, this stuff is really cool. I'm telling you,
Right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So do you have any other questions? We want to thank you, Bob. That was so great.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other
Good questions too.
Yeah.
So, Vivian, all this information is going to be posted on the on Facebook?
Yes. Sometimes I apologize. There's a little bit of a delay, because when I send this to the VA, we're doing some SEO, right? Search engine optimization. So they have to edit the video to take off some of our preps.
Okay.
So
No problem. I just want to remind myself to look for it on Facebook. So
and, yeah,
that was really nice
thank
and
you.
powerful and restful.
Yes. And thank you, Bob. Next week, we are going to have, we're entering February, everybody. It's about sexual intimacy, love, and emotions. Okay. So our first speaker for February is about emotional trauma and essential oils. So all of us, by the way, have trauma. We just have different degrees of it. So it would be nice to listen firsthand from someone who's been through a lot, however came out of it. So all of you are so talented and gifted and unique in your ways. So I encourage all of you to come out of your shell. You're doing it here. Thank you very much. and just sharing your gifts with others, because sometimes you have a lot of self-talk, but that doesn't really mean anything until you start to share and see how, Bob, you're so appreciated. We thank you for everything that you've shared tonight. That was
more than welcome.
wonderful, wonderful. And
Thanks so much.
we look forward to having more of whatever you're teaching, right, in the future. Thank you. So everybody, thank you very much. And post anything on Elite Makers Global if you have any questions or suggestions to improve our weekly calls. And some of the calls, some are fun. We're going to have love potion, love bomb potion. We're going to have sex and intimacy, with essential oils. We have a lot of juicy stuff and facials and, interior home design stuff. We have a lot of stuff in store for you guys. So keep watching and keep inviting friends and families, because there's so many applications of these essential oils. It's just waiting for you to experiment on it and to have your friends experiment on it as well, because it's so amazing. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thanks. Good
night. Bye-bye.
Bye.